Yes, it will be, where there are certain logistical difficulties. People doing part-time and starting at the start of the year is not that big of a problem. The difficulty we'll have if people want to start in the middle of the year. That causes enormous logistical problems for the faculties, because of that there's real challenges for how do you arrange classes and stuff like that. But certainly for part-time students starting at the start of the year and sort of just going part-time will work fine. At the moment, to be truthful, we haven't really made a decision about scholarships for part-time, and that's something we've got to discuss and consult on. But in principle, yes, we can do that. I have to say that what we really prefer is not everybody can do it, but of course doing these things full time, because it's about intensive study. Not everybody can do it. They're working, got other commitments, and PhDs. You know, we have fantastic data now, longitudinal data. Of those students who start doing a full-time PhD, 70% complete. So you lose about 30% on the way. 4 years is a long time in anyone's life. All sorts of stuff happens and so on. You know, people relocate to different cities and that sort of thing. And so we typically lose about 5% of our cohort a year, which is actually really good. In fact, 70% is really high. Part-time students is 50%. We lose half of our students. And that's one of the reasons for that is it's a longer period. Even more happens over 8 years than it happens over 4, all sorts of stuff happening. People doing part-time have got other stuff going in their lives as well, of course, in a much more direct way. And ideally, we try and get that study into a time, because you really got to, it's high-level stuff, you've got to focus. Having said that, those that do complete part-time actually do so relatively quickly. They don't take the full-time. So those that are really committed part-time actually do quite well. But we do have a high dropout rate for part-time, which is, again, not that surprising. By distance, I think so. There will be some. In fact, so the question was, will you be able to do it by distance? I think so. Indeed, it may well be that some significant components are actually delivered online anyway, because as we know at the moment, our current students have a smorgasbord of, you know, face-to-face and online and all sorts of things. So the answer is yes, in principle. In practice, there may be some difficulties in certain areas, but the areas that now are pretty engaged with online, I wouldn't have thought it would make a lot of difference. That's going to be your choice. You may choose to just carry on and do the honours, and then you'd go into the second year of the Masters the following year. You may choose, it may occur to you that if you do the MRes, you'll get an $8,000 scholarship. Yeah, thought it might. In which case, you might well decide to do that. That's a thing you should get advice on, you know, in the faculty. I wouldn't do it automatically for mere money, but not that mere money isn't, you know, important at that time of your life. But you'd want to get a bit of advice about that, about where you are. But absolutely, that would be your option, to take out a bachelor's and move into this and get the $8,000 bounty.
I'm not trying to sell you.
Not that we're trying to bribe you or anything.
And steak knives.
Yeah. But get some good academic advice on it. It was interesting, as I said, when we talked to the art students, they got really excited about this program, and even some honours students say, oh, should I stop and start it next year, you know? So I think this is quite an attractive package. So we could, I mean, after all, we have 2,000 PhD students, but 10,000 students doing coursework programs. So those students that finish after a 3-year bachelor's, if they're wanting to do it entirely for professional purposes, you do a coursework master. And again, this is very much the international norm. It so happens that quite a lot of students that do a coursework master's actually get quite attracted by the research thing and swap over, so we can accommodate that. So largely speaking, the norms would be, if you're doing then postgraduate course for clearly vocational, professional things, you do coursework masters. But there's still this opportunity to change over, because we'll recognise the the course is done. We obviously will find quite a few students who do this Master's of Research, complete it, and then go out and look for a job. And I can tell you that at the moment, you know, if you're hiring students or hiring people, as we do all the time, and 10 bachelor students turn up and one honours student, you always look at the honours student first, because they're the ones that have shown that they were at the higher level and they've got extra stuff. I can guarantee you, you know, employers will look at a person with his master's degree as someone who is really at quite a high level. So I think that of itself will be an employment positive. I mean, often it's hard after a bachelor's to decide exactly where you want to go, and you know, but the problem is having a compromised degree doesn't work because it doesn't serve anyone very well. So, you know, mainly vocational, you do coursework masters, you're interested in higher study in the discipline and possibly research, go the other way, but you can swap over. It's the same. So whatever your HECS liability is now each year, I don't know, $4,000 or whatever it is if you're in science, then it's the same amount.